All right, thank you, Paul. It is time to take a coffee break, and we're starting with a scary social media discovery.
Yeah, this really has me upset a little bit. Worse body image issues are correlated with the amount of dangerous content showing up on teens' Instagram feeds, okay? So Reuters discovered this through an internal review of Instagram content samples. The study found that for teens who often felt bad about their bodies, eating disorder adjacent content made up 10% of what they see.
That's terrible.
That type of content only showed up 3% of the time for other teens. Researchers say they can't prove if the content is causing the issues or if it's the other way around. But they say it's important to discuss these findings because they could help parents educate their teens about the impact of their social media diet or make teens themselves more likely to turn away from content they know could be harming them. And I was recently with a group who had looked at a number of statistics. They pose as teenagers to kind of see how quickly content comes out.
Yeah, you were telling us
And they
about
had
this.
posed as two 13-year-old girls, and it only took 2.9 seconds for them to get body image content and self-harm content.
That's so scary. That's why just young people on social media, I don't agree with it. I think as adult women, we struggle with body image and what we're supposed to look like and the pressure. And we didn't have social media growing up. I cannot imagine being a young girl having to look at that.
I wish they, on the teen accounts, would get rid of the For You page and get rid of suggestions so that your teens are only seeing the people they have chosen to follow.
Just their friends.
And that way, like, you know, my oldest is in high school. He's on Instagram, and I'm able to see his page and all of that. And he has a teen account. But, you know, I know who he's following. I don't know who he's being suggested or what's in his
Consumer reporter Christina Lazar, how would the companies make all this astronomical amounts of money if they can't
have to
advertise?
lead you to what they want you to see.
Of course.
I think
And that's
it's
the
gonna take-
unfortunate part of social media, that in order for them to make money, we have to ultimately pay the consequences.
But I think we have to revolt. I think there has to be some type of movement where we go, you know what, I'm not looking at this content anymore.
I agree.
I'm not paying
I think
for
we're
this
getting
content anymore.
I do think we're getting closer and closer. I've said that. I think it will be like cigarettes, where 10, 20 years from now, we look back on it and say, why did we do that?
Okay, speaking of harmful effects of social media, the hot new lifestyle accessory is antidepressants. Because social media videos are promoting and normalizing these antidepressants. They've become so popular, but they're leaving something out. So antidepressant use in the U.S. actually grew during the pandemic, especially when we look at young women in their early 20s and 30s. And now there's a social media movement changing it from a stigmatized medicine to a healthy lifestyle accessory. They're almost making it cute. But some of them now who've gotten hooked on antidepressants because of these videos are weaning themselves off because of the side effects. There's a 34-year-old woman who was touting them heavily who ended up feeling emotionally numb. She had brain fog and a loss of libido. She didn't feel like herself. And she says these social media videos gloss over the potential adverse side effects of the medications.
Of course.
Experts stress that mental health is more than just a pill.
Yes. I mean, I'm getting my master's in psychology now, and it's fascinating to me that even as somebody who's very much into therapy and, you know, psychiatry and all these different things, there are so many different types of therapy.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just take a pill and think that you're
fix
going to
everything.
fix everything.
Under the hashtag Lexapro Baddies. They've made it almost cool.
That hasn't come up in my For You page.
Well, honestly, not mine either.
Ours is on menopause, right?
Yes,
So
yes. And losing weight. All right, so speaking of getting older, a New Jersey woman who is 101 years old says the secret to longevity is to keep working.
Now hold on.
Anne Angeletti, but she's a business baddie.
Okay,
she
she's a
owns
baddie.
a jewelry store and told People magazine she often works 6 days a week.
All right.
She was quoted as saying, "If I retire, I would die." She also, though, however, says self-care plays a big role in extending her life, saying you must shower every day, exercise, and eat well.
I like that a shower is
Me too.
self-care.
Yeah, how did we get that in there? Okay.
Well, you know,
I guess I'm self-caring a lot more than I thought.
I think maybe when people get older, if they don't leave the house every day, they might not do that every day.
That's a good point.
I know when I was a new mom, I tried to shower every day because that got me
Just
like
to feel
getting
normal.
out and feeling normal. But what I will say is if you love your job, I can see this. Like my mom loved her job as a biochemist, loved it. Only left it because she helps me with my kids.
Right.
I could see her working until she was 101 years old. But if you don't love your job, or if your job maybe is very physically taxing,
I think it goes back to the idea though that you just have to keep learning, moving, growing. So if that's your job, or it's exercise, or it's a friend group, or it's travel,
and
whatever
have some
it is.
kind of routine and purpose.
My mom says motion is lotion. For when you get
I like that.
Yeah,
we love some lotion. All right, that's
today's coffee break.
We are CBS LA. We are yours.